You are capable. You are. You know that you are. Yet, you're still not doing the thing. Not fully. Not yet. And I know that you know what I mean. It's that thing that you just thought about when I said that. And the story that you're telling yourself is like, I just need a little bit more time. I'm working on it. It's almost there. I just need to refine this last thing. I just need to finish the website. I just need to take another course. I'm almost there. But what if that's not actually the thing that's stopping you? You're listening to Say It Anyway, the podcast for people who know they're meant for more and are done holding back. I'm Maggie Marcus, and here we talk courage, self-trust, and what it takes to lead yourself, even when it scares the hell out of you. Like, you have the ideas, but you don't post them. You want to launch, but you keep refining. You know that you should put yourself out there, but just something always comes up. It's never quite ready. It's never quite there. It's never quite the right time. And you watch other people doing the thing that you've been thinking about doing. And you tell yourself, I could do that. Man, I could do that even better. And yet, here we are. Here we are, right? Still waiting, still almost. And from the outside looking in, it might look like laziness or lack of motivation or inconsistency. Hi. But I don't think that that's what's happening. I think that you're protecting yourself from something. And I think that deep down, you already know what that is. I remember I was working as a sales rep for this company that we sold NLP, neuro-linguistic program. It was like a personal development program for people who were ready to change their lives, change their beliefs, improve something in some area. And I loved the company. I loved the mission. I thought the work was great. And I told my boss, I want a leadership position here. Like, I want to take on more. And he was like, okay, sure, let's see. You can run the next sales team huddle, which we did every day with the entire sales team. He said, you can lead the next one. So I'm like, okay, for sure. I'm going to do that. And he was going to be in the meeting, right? And so all my colleagues were there, and it's my time to run the meeting. And so I show up to this meeting, and I cringe every time I think about this, because I feel like I just feel so bad for that version of me that went about it this way. So I show up, and everyone's there, and I start talking, and I'm running the meeting, and I go through the motions. I don't bring any presence, like personality or enthusiasm. I remember at one point, I have this vivid memory of me because we're on Zoom, right? And I'm sitting at my desk at home. And I remember, like, I was resting my elbow on the desk, and I had my head resting on my elbow. So my head was like tilted on my fist, and I'm talking like that. Tell me, like, are you going to actually listen to somebody and believe them to be authoritative or credible if they're sitting there where they're like lounging in their chair with their head on their hand? Like, I remember looking at my boss. I caught his eye mid-meeting, and he was looking at me so confused. Like, what is she doing? I completely, like, no leadership skills. Like, no, I didn't bring any leadership to the meeting. I just sabotaged myself. I mean, safe to say, I did not get an opportunity to lead in that company. I think there was a part of me during that time that was was afraid that, oh, if I show up and like my teammates are going to be like, oh, look at Maggie. She's just like trying to lead us, like, oh, trying to be a leader. And I was afraid that they maybe weren't going to respect me. So maybe I was coming across like I don't know. I feel like I came across like too chill, too cool, relaxed. I mean, literally my head was resting on on my fist as I'm like leaning on my desk. It's so embarrassing. When I really think about that and I reflected on it later and I was introspected, the real reason, if I was completely honest with myself, that I sabotaged it was this. If I actually tried my absolute harder, like I showed up full energy, enthusiasm, with leadership, and it still didn't work, and my team didn't, want to follow, then that would mean something about me that I wasn't willing or wanting to face. So I protected myself the only way that I knew how, by not fully showing up. I gave myself an out. I told myself that, well, I didn't really try. Like that wasn't me giving it my all. And that's why it didn't go that well. If I'd actually tried, it would have been really good, right? So I gave myself an out so I could feel better about myself. And that protection strategy is very subtle, right? Like I almost didn't even see that. But here's what I've realized since then. It wasn't even about the meeting. It wasn't even about the leadership. It was about my fear of finding out. If I never fully try, I never fully find out. And not finding out feels a lot safer than the alternative. See, I was so afraid of being judged, of not being respected, of being seen trying and failing, that I made the decision unconsciously to protect myself before the meeting even started. And that's why, and that's what self-sabotage looks like from the inside. I mean, it's not even always very dramatic. It can be very subtle. It's just enough to give yourself an out. And that's what I did. See, we think we're holding back because we're not ready, we're not confident enough, it's not good enough yet, but that's not actually it. What's really happening is this: you're afraid of finding out. That's why we have these really great ideas and we write them out in our notes, yet we never film them. What would happen if you did film it and you actually put it out there? Then you'd have to find out if they were actually good or people liked them. We prepare forever, right? We never launch. Because if we launch, then we'd have to find out. Are people actually going to buy our products and our services? Are people actually going to like what we're selling, what we're up to? We market ourselves halfway, just enough to say that we tried, did a little bit, just to feel good about ourselves. But we know, it's not enough to be fully seen. What are you afraid of finding out? We give ourselves the out. We tell ourselves the timing was off. We weren't ready. We just got to tweak one more thing. Maybe we even recognize that. Maybe we're afraid of what other people think, and that's definitely a part of it, for sure. But I think that the deeper fear is the judgment from ourselves. Not so much even other people. It's the judgment of ourselves. Because if I try my absolute hardest and I put everything I have into this and it's still not enough, what does that mean about me? What will I find out? That my dream isn't meant for me? That my idea actually sucks? That no one will buy from me or see value in my services, in my products, in my words? That question is so unbearable that we'd rather never truly answer it. So we stay in almost, in preparation, in I'm still working on it. Because almost still has hope, right? Like almost still has the story. I'm kind of working on it, or I could have done it if I'd really tried. Fully trying takes the story away. Fully trying gives you an answer. And that can be very scary, especially when what you're doing means so much to you. See, what keeps us stuck so much of the time is we weigh the risk of trying against the risk of failing. And that's the wrong calculation to be making. The real question is, which regret can you live with? The regret of trying and it not working out the way that you'd hoped? Or the regret of never finding out who you could have been, what you could have accomplished, what you could have done if you'd actually gone for it? That second regret, that's the one that comes from never knowing. And that one is the real bitch. That one quietly compounds over the years until you're like 80, looking back and just filled with like that wonder, the what ifs. Like most people, we regret the things that we didn't do, not the things that we did. You don't want to be waking up at 2 a.m. wondering who you could have been. Wondering what if. So trying and failing, at least that gives you information, right? It gives you growth. It gives you an answer. Never trying just leaves you with the question. Forever. The what if. So fuck around and find out. Seriously. Yeah, like seriously, because the version of you who tried and learned something is always going to be further ahead than the version of you who stayed safe and never knew and never found out. And here's the part that maybe sometimes it's hard to hear. See, most people believe that when they achieve enough, prove enough, accomplish enough, they'll finally feel good enough. Like there's some finish line where the inner critic's like finally goes quiet and they can relax. But that's not how it works. That's not how it works, you know? Because the hole that you were trying to fill was never actually about the thing that you were chasing. It was about the belief underneath it. I am not enough as I am. I am not enough as I am. And no achievement outside of you, no external achievement can reach that internal wound. Because the achievement was a response to the feeling of not being enough. It was an attempt to outrun the fear. You can't outrun it. It's in you. If we're always chasing something outside of us, we're running from something inside of us. And if we don't fully understand what's truly driving us, then we'll be a slave to it. You know, the fear of not being enough continues to run the show. Even when you accomplish the goal, you'll still eventually feel that. When we try to outrun it by working harder and powering through, by achieving more and more, and then we just end up creating a more accomplished version of the same fear. See, whether you're frozen and not taking action or stuck in the preparation mode, or you've, messed around and found out, but you're still pursuing more and more and more, often it's the same fear driving both of those. The fear that who you are isn't enough. So what do we do with this, right? First, we got to see it, right? We got to be really honest about what's actually driving us right now. Seeing it gives us a choice. Awareness creates choice. You can't free yourself from a cage you can't see. So it's understanding, is this a genuine pull towards something that lights me up? Or is it mostly me trying to prove something, escape something, silence something? Like, are you moving towards or running from something? And don't get me wrong, both can produce results. Some of the most successful people out there have some of the deepest self-worth wounds and self-belief wounds. But recognizing that one feels more like a pull and the other one feels like a push. One gives you energy and the other one drains you. When driven by true desire, even the hard parts can still be connected to something meaningful. You know, the struggle has context, a deeper why, a greater vision, like something that you're truly connected to. When we're driven by fear, though, the hard parts feel like evidence that, see, I'm not cut out for this. I'm not good enough. It's not working. You know, I was right to doubt myself. What was I thinking? Like, you're looking for evidence to confirm your fears about yourself. It can be like the same hard moments, but with two different meanings, two different interpretations. And look, we humans are complex. It's not going to be one or the other. You're not totally driven by desire or totally driven by fear. That's way too simple. It can be both, right? And that's okay. When I think about my goals for public speaking, it's a mix. Like, it genuinely lights me up and I get excited and I feel connected to a deeper why in regards to my messaging and my impact and my purpose. Like, there's something really there that I'm connected to. But also, it also feels like there's something I want to prove to myself, for sure. Like, you know, that I am capable, that I am good enough. And so I can feel both. The desire to create and fulfill, and the need to prove it to myself. And I am working on and learning to let desire lead. I think it's about recognizing like which one is louder. You know, like it's more about like which one's in the driver's seat. Which part of you is making the decisions? See, with desire, you can still have fear and self-doubt, but your inner pull is stronger. But when fear is driving, there's still some desire, and it's often overruled by the fear and the self-doubt and like the will I look stupid and what if I fails, and that tends to like run the show and affect your behavior. Because think about it, if the greater why and the vision and there's a very meaningful desire to why you're doing something, that can usually override the fear. If that's what's truly driving you and you're convicted and in that, I want the desire to lead. I want to be driven by the emotional context of creating something beautiful and impactful and fulfilling and purposeful. So I think we have a choice. And I think that this is where we can become aware of our patterns and what's running the show, and which one is sort of dominating, if there's a mix of both, if there's, the fear and the desire. And I think once we're able to see that, then we can choose. And that choice is very important. It's everything. Like, you can keep letting fear make your decisions, which is so exhausting, man. Like, that is so exhausting, right? Like, when we are letting fear run the show, that's when we give up. That's when we burn out, when we stay inconsistent, when we're constantly stressed. I don't want that to be the daily embodiment and the feeling as I move through my process each day. But if we let desire lead, like that desire, you're moving towards something that genuinely lights you up. There's meaning. You're doing it because it matters to you on a deeper level. Once you understand that you've been living in reaction to what you don't want, like whatever it is you're afraid to find out, and you can start to dissolve the underlying belief, then that's when you can calm your nervous system. That's when you shift your energy, and that shift ripples into your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. Because the fear won't go away. But what we can do is hold it with compassion instead of giving into it or trying to pretend, it doesn't exist, or shoving it away, conquering it, right? Like, I think this is when awareness really does create choice, right? We can choose how we meet the fear and the beliefs that are holding us back. Seeing the belief is what cracks the door open. And compassion is what keeps it from slamming shut again. And then courage is what allows you to walk through that door. The more you choose from that place, then you begin to fulfill and come from like desire, true desire, from abundance, from flow and ease, instead of fear and lack. Whether you're frozen or you haven't started, or you've been achieving and it's still not filling that hole, it all comes back to the same thing. You've been letting fear make the decisions. And the invitation is still the same either way. You stop running from what you might find out. Start moving towards what you actually want. Because that version of you who finds out, whatever that looks like, that version of you is always going to be way more alive than the one who never even tried. So, fuck around and find out. Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If this episode hit home, spread the love. Maybe share it with a friend or drop a comment. I'd love to know what landed for you. And remember, your voice matters. Whatever you're holding back, say it anyway.